Hello. Before Christmas, I had no idea that I would have a programme going out about the German-Italian composer Ermanno Wolf-Ferrari, whose music is now little known and little played in the UK. Until just a few weeks ago, all I had ever heard were three pieces, all short, an overture and two intermezzi, from his opera Susanna's Secret and his other opera The Jewels of the Madonna. These are little lollipops which appear from time to time in concerts or on CDs. We can hear about his life in a moment, but since these short pieces have led me to look further, let's hear one of them first. And this is the second intermezzo from The Jewels of the Madonna, played by the Philharmonia Orchestra, conducted by Sir Charles Mackerras. Time to change the CD. Excuse me. Well, there it was. Tuneful, catchy, beautifully written, and there you have the essence of a great deal of Wolf-Ferrari's music, which is always attractive and seldom demanding, but not just always undemanding. Ermanno Wolf-Ferrari was born in Venice in 1876. His father was August Wolf, a German painter. His mother was a Venetian, Emilia Ferrari. As a young man, he studied not music, but painting in Venice, Rome and Munich. But in Munich, he changed tack and he studied under the composer Joseph Rheinberger, who subjected him to a highly academic training in counterpoint and composition. There is no doubt that he benefited, and his very attractive Serenade for Strings, written when he's 17, is testimony to that. This very easygoing work was written by Wolf-Ferrari while studying with Reinberger, as I said. It was premiered in Munich in 1895, and it was published soon after that. Now, it's no small feat for an unknown 17-year-old composer, really a student, as he was at that time, to have a work both performed and published. Yet, for whatever reason, Wolf-Ferrari chose not to assign the designation Opus 1 to it, as he was entitled to do once it was published. That went instead to his first violin sonata. The Serenade was written entirely on classical terms, and although it does not sound a bit like it, formally it is very close to Eine kleine Nachtmusik, and may even have been modelled directly on that. Perhaps because it was really a student work and possibly written as an exercise, that was why the composer put it to one side, but it has in fact survived, and it's still performed. I think when you hear some of it, the first movement, Allegro, you'll see why. So that's what we're going to do now. It is played by the Frankfurt Radio Orchestra, conducted by Alan Francis. Excuse me again. Well, it's very much based on classical sonata form, and yet there are one or two little surprises, particularly in the coda at the end. And that serenade inhabits much the same world, though it's not as distinguished, I suppose, as Grieg's Holberg Suite or Elgar's Serenade for Strings, which I think were written round about the same time. Anyway, there it is. It's a nice piece, and all four movements are nice. It's worth hearing. What I have discovered is that by no means all of Wolf-Ferrari's output was as conventional as the Jules intermezzo that we heard at the beginning. And as I said, his first violin sonata was his Opus 1, not the Serenade, and it is in many ways an unusual piece. He returned from Munich to Venice in 1897, and the second of the three violin sonatas followed in 1901, still a young man. And I'm going to play one movement, the second, from that. It is a most unusual sonata, all three are. Only two movements. The second one flexible in tempo and expression, but basically slow. It's marked recitativo sostenuto con amore semplicemente. It ends quietly and there is no up-tempo third movement. That's it. The first half of the movement is like an improvisation with little melodic fragments passed between violin, piano, and no clear sense of where the music is going. But halfway it settles on a little phrase, only a couple of bars long, and from then on it does seem like a sonata movement. This phrase underlies the rest of the movement. Eventually there's a sustained ecstatic climax and the music drops away to its quiet ending. Wolf-Ferrari liked quiet endings. It's an eloquent, lyrical, unusual movement in an unusual sonata. So here it is, the second movement of the violin sonata number 2 in A minor, opus 10, and it's played by Davide Alogna and Costantino Catena, and it will end this first video. I think you can say three things with confidence about Wolf-Ferrari and his music. He was an excellent composer of comic opera. Light, perhaps slight, but very entertaining operas. He knew exactly how to do it. He was very, very popular up to the First World War with these operas and afterwards a bit too. Secondly, his manner as a composer, the way he wrote, was of his time, or indeed backward looking. He was no innovator. He wasn't in the vanguard of modern composers in the early 20th century, not even particularly near it. But thirdly, he was highly individual, or he could be highly individual. You see this, I think, more in the non-operas, the other music he wrote, than in the operas, where perhaps he was wise to stay with something familiar and attractive to people. And we'll touch on all of these things. In the next video, we'll move into the world of opera, but we'll also hear another piece which has first a very strange story behind it, and secondly is in any case a strange piece. But that's for the next video.